Oh my God. Man, what an awesome find. An artillery shell, part of a sword or Civil War dagger. I don't know what else I can find today. Oh my goodness. 2 North Carolina buttons. Black eye button.
Sweet.
What about that, Frank?
Yeah.
There it is. Oh man. Unbelievable. That is the trigger guard from a rifle. There's the sling, little buckle for the sling. And this is a big piece of the wood. That's part of the trigger guard right here. That's pretty cool. What is it? Wow. How awesome. Congratulations, your first plate. You last time? Oh my Another Hotchkiss shell. Oh my God. This is a first for me. It's a Confederate cast eye out of the water. Oh my God. Look at that. That is a 6-pound cannonball. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's another 6-pounder. Amazing. Greetings, fellow time travelers. It is the end of another year, and with it the end of another decade. 2019 was a truly amazing relic hunting year. Thousands of finds throughout the year. I couldn't possibly show them all in one video, but I thought I'd take a few minutes and go through some of the best finds for 2019 and a few gifts that were bestowed upon me for 2019. So with that said, let's have a look at the very best metal detecting finds of 2019. As most of you know, I am largely searching for iron these days. 2019 was no slouchy year for iron. I did pretty good on the Civil War artillery, a few other iron relics. But we'll jump right into the iron now with this beautiful 6-pound Confederate Borman cannonball. This one was a Great Creek find. It really caught me off guard. It was actually just a few inches from the shoreline, so I believe it may have rolled in from the side of the cliff into the creek. Something big in iron. It's like a plow point. Oh, I got something big in iron. What is it? Oh, oh my God. It's a cannonball. It's a 6-pound cannonball from the American Civil War. Oh my God. Oh, I can't believe that. This is a brand new spot. I've never been here. This is going to be amazing. Really great Confederate artillery shell. These are pretty rare with the Borman fuse in it. And one I really was happy to find. This one has some bolts and other random doodads inside of it. There's a little piece sticking out here you can see. So really great find. That one caught me off guard. Just a few short days later, I turned up this solid 6-pound Confederate cannonball, which was another great find. Kind of caught me off guard. It was the end of a very long day. I was walking back and found this one very close to where I had parked. So I was just getting ready to leave. I got a signal here. It sounded good. I dug and I dug and I fought. You aren't going to believe this. Look at that. That is a 6-pound cannonball from the Civil War. I can't tell if there's a fuse on it or not, but I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Oh my God. This is how a day in the life goes. I'm just astounded. So happy. Another artillery shell from the American Civil War. Oh my gosh. A big surprise there. Another great piece of Civil War history. Shortly after that, I went and found this Hotchkiss shell rather, from Hotchkiss Creek. You can still hear the pusher plate inside of it that's loose inside of it. And I'll go into detail about these shells maybe in an upcoming video about how they were designed and the components of them that are inside of it. But this one came from Hotchkiss Creek, was a great surprise. Also found on that trip a base cup to one of these shells. This would have fitted something similar to this on this shell. So another great artillery find. Shortly thereafter, I had probably the best artillery day of the year when I found 3 cannonballs in one day. I'll put maybe a link to the video up here if you haven't seen that. Really an extraordinary day, one of my best artillery days ever. Oh my God. Ah, look at that. Oh my God. 2 cannonballs. Alright, I'm hooked on something. Oh my God. Oh my God. 3 cannonballs in one day. That day I located this 6-pound Borman shell, which the fuse is gone, but it has these iron pellets inside, which are pretty unique and a testament to the types of things that the Confederates were resorting to at that stage in the war. Also found that day this 12-pound, this would have been a wood fuse adapter that was inside of this cannonball. It has this nice big hole. Also has a nice mold seam on it. Great Confederate 12-pounder. And also found this rather unique 6-pounder with a wood drive-in fuse hole, which is tiny. My pinky won't even fit inside of this hole. This one's pretty unique. This one has a lot of damage from the water conditions there. They basically turned this shell into graphite, so it's kind of got an oblonged shape there. So another great artillery find. Let's see. Also got a 12-pound Borman shell, which is always a great joy to see come out of the water. A 10-pound parrot shell, which I got out with my buddy Drew. Piece of iron, whatever it is. Oh my, yes. Oh my God. That is a parrot shell from the American Civil War. Woo! Oh, that makes me so happy. We were hunting one day, and I think it surprised both of us that day that I got this. And also got this small Hotchkiss shell, which is just like this shell here next to it, only a smaller version. It has a beautiful brass fuse adapter in the nose. And I got this one out hunting with my buddy Keith. It was a really special find to me because we had been looking forward to finding artillery. Oh my God.
Look at that. That's an artillery shell. Look at that, Keith. An artillery, it's a Hotchkiss.
You dog.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to move as quick as I can through these because there's a lot of stuff to look at here. But if anybody has any questions, just leave them in the comments below and I'll try and answer any questions you have about any of these relics. A few other artillery finds, got a couple half shells this year, which are always nice to find. These are both 12-pound Bormans. And got a whole lot of artillery shell fragments. In fact, a bucket full of artillery shell fragments this year. Possibly my favorite one is one that is still trapped in its incrustation. Now, when you find these in the water, they're covered in a rocky incrustation, and we can knock them off with a hammer, and it will reveal inside, sometimes, an artillery shell fragment. So this is a neat example of the rock incrustation and the fragment together there. I kept them together. I like doing that with relics sometimes. Kind of puts them in context. A few other great iron finds this year. I got this dated 1891 tree tap. This would have been hammered into a tree, and they would have been able to get maple syrup or whatever sap they wanted out of a tree. Could have been pine, pitch, could have been anything, I suppose, around here. Got a nice butt plate to a Springfield rifle. Couple nice locks here. These are definitely Civil War era or earlier. One of these I got on the day I was out with my buddy Keith. Nice little trace chain here. I always like finding these, so I went ahead and threw this in the mix. This is an artillery trace chain from the Civil War, if you guys can see that. Pretty neat, like those. Got a Hotchkiss, piece of a Hotchkiss base. Forgot about that little artillery shell fragment there. Also on a hunt with my buddy Lamar, I got this, which was one of my favorite finds of the year. It's a trigger guard.
Well, that's a pretty cool find, and it's pretty hard to tell what it is, but I can tell that is the trigger guard from a rifle. There's the sling, little buckle for the sling, and this is a big piece of the wood.
From a Civil War musket or rifle. It was probably converted to a percussion rifle. But it still has a big chunk of the wood here, has the trigger guard, the sling. Really an awesome find, and was great to be out with Lamar when I found that. Lamar is one of my favorite hunting buddies. What else is iron here? Got a nice stirrup. Iron stirrup. I found quite a few of these now. I always like finding them though. Got a curry comb when I was out with the dig dogs. That was a really unexpected and nice find. This is the best preserved curry comb I have found, so was really glad to have that. It's got the teeth still on it, and the back of it just looks great. So another great find for the year in the iron department. So those are some of the better finds in iron. Now let's move on to some of the smaller finds, buttons, coins, and things like that. Probably should start in with buttons. I had a really great year for Confederate buttons. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I thought I had 9. But at any rate, there's 8 Confederate buttons from this year. Started out the year with 3 North Carolina sunbursts and a badly busted Confederate staff officer's button. Then moved on to several cast eye buttons. 3 of them were on the land, one of which I kept preserved in this nice clump of soil. I just thought that that looked really neat like that, and wanted to keep it preserved that way. And the other one I found in the water. This is the only cast eye button I've ever found with a broken shank. So pretty neat, and my first Confederate button from the water. So that was an excellent find. In Virginia, I found this beautiful early Navy button. It has an eagle with a shield with an anchor inside of it. That's a very early button. just around 1800, 1805, somewhere in that range. Other smalls that I found this year that I enjoyed, we got the brass sword guard that I found while I was out hunting with Keith and found this artillery shell.
Yeah, we just got a really cool find here. It was ringing at 83. We're kind of in like gravelly area here, so it's kind of iffy. Keith was giving me a hard time about digging a bullet signal, but it was ringing in 83, and look at this. That is part of a sword or a knife. It's definitely a hand guard for a Civil War era sword or knife, something of that sort. I'm hoping I'll be able to identify it a little better. But you can see there's a little man on there, almost like the Virginia State Seal.
We believe that this might be associated with Virginia troops because of the motif on it, although we don't know exactly. There is what looks to be a figure with their foot on someone, sort of like the Virginia motif, but it is for certain a Civil War soldier's loss. They were crossing the river through there. This probably predates the Civil War a little bit, so a really great find, and one I was surprised with because I was mostly digging iron that day. Another great smalls find is this really awesome seal matrix that I found in my hometown of Gloucester. This one has some pretty deep significance to me because of where I was hunting and because of the family name that's associated with it. Turns out this is one of my real good buddies' families that came to the area very, very early in the 1700s, and this seal was associated with them. You can see the arrows there on it. Really a cool find, one of my favorite finds ever. Got several half dimes this year, silver half dimes, which is kind of unusual for me. I'm not really hunting for coins, they're not really my thing. But hey, I'll take a couple of early half dimes. A couple bullets that were standouts this year. A nice little carved bullet I got while I was out hunting with my friend Anita. I think they might have been trying to make a scabbard tip for a bayonet, possibly, to replace one with that. And also just last week I got this beautiful Gardner blow-through bullet, and that happened when there was a casting flaw in these bullets and possibly a very, very hot powder load, which caused the nose of the bullet to blow out and make it hollow all the way through. So really cool find. I've only found one of those in the past. Another find that I should probably note is this pistol I found earlier in the year. This is a Valor 25, I believe it was a 25. It is documented as possibly the worst handgun ever produced. So I'm lucky to get that off of the streets, I suppose. Found that in the water. Really a surprising find for the day. A few other things I wanted to mention before I ended the video. Oh, there's this rifle barrel that I found. I was out hunting with my buddy Chris and found this rifle barrel, which was kind of a neat one. I think it's just a 22 rifle, post-Civil War. Still neat when you can find a rifle barrel.
Another amazing relic I would be remiss to not mention would be the largest Civil War relic I have ever recovered, and that is this Sherman necktie I recovered with my friends John and Nathan. And this is a about 15-foot long section of railroad track that was bent by Sherman's troops as they marched down to Atlanta. They would bend these rails with heat in order to ensure that the opposite side, the Confederates, were not able to reuse these tracks. So by far the largest Civil War relic I have ever recovered, and one of the coolest.
Sherman necktie.
Final notes are some gifts that I was bestowed this year that I wanted to mention and say a big thank you to the folks who bestowed them upon me. I'm going to start with some gifts from my buddy Bob. Dad has known Bob forever. Bob has become one of my best friends in the world. He's certainly one of the most knowledgeable people in the hobby of relic hunting, if you ask me. He's writing a book right now that I think you guys will be interested in when it comes out. At any rate, Bob bestowed upon me this beautiful ginger beer bottle which still has its cork. No beer left in it though. He also gave me this beautiful knife and fork, which Bob could tell you more accurately, but these I believe are from the 1700s and they have bone handles still attached. I just need a plate now, and I'll have a full set where I can actually sit down and eat a meal with some 1700s stuff. Bob also bestowed upon me this beautiful National Lancers button. He could tell you more again about this than I could, but I believe this was an 1820s to 1830s unit. A beautiful, beautiful one-piece button in non-dug condition. Just a rarity to see those in any condition, let alone non-dug. So a beautiful gift. Another amazing gift was from my buddy Mark on my recent trip to Massachusetts. There was a picture of this on the video, but I didn't mention it. This is a little shield that I believe was a Corps badge for the 23rd Corps during the Civil War. Very, very unique and interesting brass find. We looked really, really close at the face of it. There may have been some inscription on there, but it's long since gone. But a really, really gracious gift from Mark. Thank you so much, Mark, for that. And finally, JD just came to visit recently. And during one of his live streams, he found a Civil War 50-cent piece. So he bestowed that upon me on his recent visit. This is a Battle of Fair Oaks 50-cent piece. So really cool, in great condition. I'm going to stick that one in the collection for sure. Now finally, the very last piece I want to talk about is possibly the best find of the year, and possibly one of the best finds of my life. I did a video about it just recently, and that was this tiny, diminutive silver tag. It's possibly the smallest relic I found all year. It is a tiny Civil War era silver tag that I found in the camp of the 4th Kentucky CSA. This tag is labeled GWO, and upon research I found out that it had belonged to George Warren O'Bannon. This was a soldier who was from the area where I was born. He's now buried just a few minutes from my parents' house. So I was able to find his grave, go and clean his grave, and this is one of those relics that sort of came full circle. Always amazing when you can find a relic you can identify directly to a person. So possibly the best find of my life. Certainly one of the best finds of the year. 2019 was just an amazing year. Had a lot of changes occur. As always, we're all getting older. Another decade's coming to being. And I hope that during that decade, you can live your life to the fullest. Do the things you want to do. Get outside. Spend time with family. Play music. Make art. Do whatever it is that makes you happy. Spend your time wisely. It's the most valuable commodity we have. With that said, happy 2020? God, I'm getting old. I hope you guys have a great year, a great new decade. See you next year.